evening to all of you, my very cherished viewers and listeners. You hearing from me once again, Reverend Yohanes Kwasi Ahiabu, Parish Pastor of the Global Evangelical Church, the Yahweh Chapel branch at Lashibi in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. I am coming right from the altar of the chapel just to bring some insight to you so we can think about how we can really get our family closer to God than ever. I want to say that we are going to look at some principles from the book or the gospel according to St. Luke. And I'm looking at chapter 19. I will take it from 1 to 11. And I want to bring some 7 or 8 steps or points that we can take to get to our goal of bringing our sons and daughters to God. And not only our sons and daughters, a general principle that can help you reach your goal in life. So get yourself ready and let's move. But I'm going to read some verse number 10 and 11. Verse 10 and 11. But let me focus more on verse number 9 and 10. And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which are lost, or that which was lost." Now, this whole chapter, Jesus comes to Zacchaeus' house. And I want to look at some few principles that Zacchaeus exhibited in his quest to having Jesus come to his home. And as parents and as families who are desirous of having the Most High God come to our homes and families and to our churches and gatherings, we want to look at some few principles. The principle number 1, I see it from the first 2 verses. So I read it out. Then Jesus entered, passed through Jericho. Verse 2 says, "Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector, and he was very, very rich." The 3rd verse says that, "And he sought to see who Jesus was." So let me stop there. The verse 1 and 2 tells us of a certain man. And the verse identifies the man as Zacchaeus, and that he was a tax collector, but not an ordinary tax collector, but a chief one, a chief tax collector. The next thing the Bible says about this man is that he was a very, very rich man. So the verse tells us of the status of the man high up in there, and also as a tax collector whom some people will not respect. They consider them as thieves and robbers and cheaters, those who do not who are not friends of the ordinary man in the city. And then they think that this man does not qualify to have Jesus come to his home. But you see, it depends on the attitude and what your heart tells you, which you follow, that you either receive Jesus in your home, whoever you are or not. And so this man, the first principle was that he sought to see Jesus. Now, in the Hebrew, The Bible says that aye odi bena ya po Yesu amasi wonye. Now, in every endeavor in life, there must be a desire. A desire in every one of us, the family members, the father, the husband. They must have the desire that they want to have God in their family as the leader, as the teacher, as the counselor, as the one who will take the center stage of their family. So if you don't have the desire, you do not deserve to have what you are looking for. You want to marry, you have to begin with a desire to marry. You want to travel abroad, you have to begin with a desire to travel. You want to do something significant and leave some very powerful legacy on earth. The beginning points of every tangible and remarkable or lasting achievement in life begins with desire. Point number 2 is a decision. Now, it is not enough to desire to get married, or to desire to travel, or to desire to have a PhD, or to have a master's degree or first degree, or to travel, or to start a business. This desire must be concretized. It must come to be something that has been decided upon, resolved to see what you desire to have. So he has decided, and now he has desire, and now he has decided to make sure that he follows his actions through to see Jesus who he was. So let's review again. Number 1, desire. Number 2, decide. Now, number 3 thing, principle I see in this verse is that he was hanging up high as a rich man. He was hanging up high as a chief tax collector. He was not an ordinary person at all, but he wanted to see Jesus, who was always associating with the downtrodden in society. He was always the friends of the common man in the streets, the sick, the paralyzed, the blind, and those who are heavily afflicted. Jesus was friends of these ones, and it was sometimes shameful for some of the high-class men or women to identify themselves with Jesus. But here is a big man hanging up in the sky there, very rich also, chief tax collector, who wanted to see Jesus. How was he going to do this one? Number 1, he has to discern. So we started number 1, desire. Number 2, decide. Number 3, discern. Come off. What you are looking for, if you are going to get it, you must humble yourself. You must be willing to do the common things that others will do to get there. You must not be hanging up there. I am too big, I am so rich, I am so high up in the sky. You will be cut off from your blessing. So family members, father, don't be it, and then you run away. No, don't tell your wife and children, you go and do it and run away. You must have the desire, you must have the decision to do it, and you must also humble yourself and come down to the lower level. Desire, and then you decide and you discern what is the next thing to do. You must design a strategy. Design. Draw a strategy. Formulate a strategy. Get a plan. A plan that will get you to your destiny. So, why do we have to design a plan? It's because we are going to be frustrated by problems and things that will be standing in our ways. And so if we want something and we are sure that certain things will stand on our ways, how are we going to remove those stumbling blocks before we get to our life destiny? So I'm going to mention the fourth one. When you, one, desire. Number two, decide. Number three, discern. Discern, calm down. Number four, you design a strategy. Let's see the strategy of Zacchaeus now. In deciding and designing, you must know what problems you are facing or likely to face and how you are going to overcome it if you want to realize your goal. The number one problem of Zacchaeus was that he was a short man. Zacchaeus was short. His number two problem was that there was a heavy crowd at the ground. And the people were too many for him to handle. Everybody wants to see Jesus. You also want to see Jesus. Yet you are short and there is heavy crowd. So how are you going to get Jesus' attention and get him to your place or your level of discussions? So he decided, number one, that he was going to run. He's going to do something abnormal. Run ahead of the crowd. So get that one clear. After desire, you come to decision. And from decision, you come to discerning. Discern, calm down. And then number four, you design a strategy. Number five, run ahead of the crowd. If your people are here thinking only in the present, look into the future. Be a man of vision. Be a man that knows what is likely to happen, the years to come, the days to come, the weeks to come, and position yourself so that by the time the crowds get to where you have located yourself by your vision, that time you have already gathered momentum and strength to take advantage of whatever position or opportunity that avails itself. So he decided to run ahead of the crowd. He passed through the people, the rich tall man, the rich man, chief collector, ran through the ordinary people. He ran ahead of the crowd. He knew Jesus was in the crowd, but he ran ahead of him. Number five, when you are running ahead of the crowd, listen, you must run strategically and position yourself strategically. So, listen, this is life principle. If you understand what I'm sharing now, God will help you and you will succeed in your life journey. Look ahead. Don't stop with the crowd. Go beyond them. Look into the front. Where will Jesus come to pass in the next moment where nobody is standing now? And because he was short, after running, look at it, he positioned himself strategically to see Jesus. So strategic positioning is an aspect of getting your goal, your vision, your plan and your dreams realized. But once you know that you have a lot of weaknesses and hindrances that can rob you of your life destiny, you must also, whilst running and positioning yourself, you must also be conscious and look for substitution for your weakness. What you know you cannot do, you find someone who can do it and do it well and teach you how to do it. As parents in our home, sometimes our sons are brighter than ourselves. Our daughters are smarter than ourselves. There are certain things I'm doing on my computer, and I get to some place, I become, oh, no, 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 no. Then I call my second to last boy and say, can you come and help me? He comes, he takes the laptop off my laps and sit down, pack, 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 pack. He turns the thing to me. I say, what have you done? He said, I have finished. I have done it. But this small boy here, but what you cannot do, somebody knows how to do. Zacchaeus' problem was that he was short. And so he had to look for a tree that is strategically located by the direction that Jesus was coming to pass. And when he got under the tree, he didn't sit down. He decided to climb on top of the tree as a substitution for his shortness, so that he can place himself at a level that he can compete with his very strong competitors. So he was there, waiting. He knew that Jesus will come and pass that end. Let me read it one more for you to see. So he sought to see who Jesus was, verse 3, but could not because of the crowd, for he was a short man. And he ran ahead and climbed onto a sycamore tree to see him. So what is the goal? The goal is to see Jesus. The goal is to have Jesus. So after running or after climbing, after doing everything, the aim is that I want to have Jesus come to my house. For the reason given for that action was that for he was going to pass that way. How did Zacchaeus know that Jesus will surely come and pass that way and pass under that tree, and that when he climbed that tree, his efforts are not going to be fiasco? He was the man of vision. He was on point. He looked ahead. He saw the crowd around. They were walking with him. I don't know what they were doing. Now, normally I say that if you want to stay in the crowd, you develop a lot of skin rashes. Now, the skin rashes is that a lot of backbiting, a lot of name calling, a lot of criticism, a lot of envying, a lot of... So, those who want to remain in the crowd, they lose focus. Don't do things because everybody is doing that way. To go ahead of the people and win the prize that your competitors are looking for, you must do things differently. So he went, strategically positioned himself, and was waiting. Waiting for the time, the opportune time. So the next thing you have to do is that when you run ahead and position yourself strategically, what is going to happen is that when the opportunity locates you, you will get a lot of enemies. And so you need not pay attention to those who criticize you. Now when he got there, Jesus got there, he called out, Zacchaeus, come down, for today I must be a guest to your house. Then everybody in the crowd said, oh, Zacchaeus, a sinful man, Zacchaeus, a thief, Zacchaeus, a tax collector, Zacchaeus. They gave him names and upon names and upon names. But a good scorer of the games of life do not have time for those who call names. They do not find time for those who backbite. When you want to have time for those who are backbiting you, you are a fool. The reason is that nobody can bite your back until you are ahead of him. But the moment you are ahead of somebody, your back is available for him. In fact, if you were to be biting your face, you have to face him. But when he is backbiting you, you have to push ahead. It is only by moving forward that you can leave your backbiters and those who want to give you trouble, you can leave them behind. They said Zacchaeus was a sinful man. Jesus, how can you go to visit this man? But Zacchaeus didn't mind them. He knew he was a thief. He knew. He knew he was a sinner. He knew. In fact, that is the reason why he desired to have Jesus, because he is looking for solution for his problems. He doesn't need anybody to tell him that, Zacchaeus, do you know that you have been cheating people when you go to collect tax? Did he? Is somebody to tell him? Does he not know what he does? He knows. But here, Zacchaeus doesn't want anybody to tell him that he was a sinner. He wanted somebody who can heal him of his sinful life. And when the people were giving him names, trying to frustrate him, he didn't mind them. Don't mind them. Look for solution to your problems. Don't be reactionary. Don't mind them. But he got down. He followed Jesus. And I don't know where the crowd went any longer. They were pressing on Jesus, but they were doing so aimlessly without any strategy. They were not able to tell what desire or design was pushing them to follow Jesus. They are aimless followers. For them, they dance any dance and they walk any walk. They do anything everybody else is doing. And when you ask them, why are you doing it? They say, because everyone is doing it. If you want your family to have access to God, and you want your family to live for God, you must leave them on targets. Have a desire that your family should know God. Have a decision that your family is going to serve God. Now descend, come down, humble yourself, and put in strategies that will help you and your family to realize that goal. And in your goal setting and the caution of your strategy, look out for the weaknesses that we have and find substitutions. Look out for the weaknesses that you have. If the crowds are too much for you, don't remain in them. Run ahead of the crowd. When you run ahead of them, don't just run aimlessly. Run in the direction that the master is coming, and strategically position yourself for an encounter with the Lord. But in doing so, make sure that you are finding substitution for your weakness. And when the master reaches you out, the crowd will criticize. They will call names. Don't mind them, but listen to the master. Pay attention. So the next thing is that developed prompt obedience to the voice of God. There may be many voices. Some of the voices will say you are not qualified. Some of them will say you are a sinner. Some of them will say, oh, as for you, you are a poor person. Some of them will say you don't have any gift. Some of them will say, oh, as for you and your family, how much salary did you? That doesn't matter. When you hear the voice of the master calling, come down quickly, and he shall be a guest in your house. So Zacchaeus went to the house. But when he got to the house, he said, Master, let me tell you something. I am a thief. I am a sinner. In fact, all the names the crowd were calling me, they were all true. But you know what? That's why I'm looking for you. I promise I'll go back. All that I have cheated, I'm going to replace them 4 times. And I'll give my monies and those things that I have to the poor. And by the time he has confessed his sins to the master, the one who carries the solution, the master shouted, today salvation has come to this house. So look at me. When you want to get to your life destiny, you must walk on target. elebe na nye Amerika dafo aɖewo gbãtɔ enye be didi na nɔ asiwo be ye dzi be yeaɖo afi me ɖa. Didi na nɔ asiwo be ye dzi be ye kpakple eƒe ƒomea yeasubɔ Mawu. Didi na nɔ asiwo be yeanɔ agbe kɔkɔe. Didi na nɔ asiwo be yeaɖe srɔ̃. Didi na nɔ asiwo be yeayi ɖe ŋgɔgbe. Didi ma ne tso keke wo dzi me menye be ame aɖe gblẽ na wo be ne wɔe ta o. Evevelia ne didi va ɖe nyametsotso alo ɖoɖo kplikpa be ye me be masubɔ Mawu ko la mele subɔ ge. Ame aɖe lɔ̃, ame aɖe mele lɔ̃, metso nya me be masubɔ Mawu alo nye kpakple nye aƒekɔ ya miasubɔ Yehowa. Enya ma atso me hafi nate ŋu aɖo teƒe yi ke ne yina. Afɔɖeɖe tɔ̃lia enye be hafi nate ŋu aɖo teƒe yi ke ne dzi be aɖo kple eƒe ƒomea kple tɔtɔ nenye be enye didi le dzime na o eye ne tso nya me vɔa ele be nasrɔ̃ ɖokui bɔbɔ. Elabena ne woli le agbe ya mea ne dzi be ne su ye sia ne kɔ ɖoku da ɖe ya me keglẽke ɖa mekpɔ ge gbiɔtsɔ hã mekpɔ go. Ta ɖokui bɔbɔ. Zakio nye gatɔ. Enye tax collector ƒe amegã. Bubu nɔ ŋu eye le esime wòse be Yesu va eye wòle didi be yeate ɖe ŋu ne wòakpɔ eƒe kuxiwo gbɔ na ya. Ekuxi geɖewo nɔ mɔ dzi elabe ame gbogbo kplɔe ɖo xoxoxo hafi wòva ɖo gbɔ. Eye mezɔ kple Yesu hã ɖaa na ame ɖeke nanye bena ɖe eya nye zigbatɔ mi xɔe la ame etɔ̃ gbe wònye la nenye be amewo kpe be ye hã kplɔ Yesu ɖoa woagblɔ be hoho na o. Gakea eɖoe kplikpaa eye wòɖo kpe dzi be ye Yesu kpɔ ge ye nya ge alebe kuxi ye kɔ le ta egbɔ kpɔ ge amewo sɔgbɔ amewo mesɔgbɔ ye kɔkɔwo ye mekɔkɔwo ye yi ge. Ye ta enelia nye be nawɔ ɖoɖo na ta plan na wɔ ɖoɖo yi ke dzi zɔ ge ne le hafi aɖo teƒe yi ke yi ge ne le. Eya ta egblɔ na eɖokui be oke ke nye ɖe mekɔkɔ ta eye amewo hã gasɔgbɔ le mɔ dzi ta ɖe ɖe mele du ƒu ga abe aʋatɔ nene ato wo katã ŋuti eye ne meto ŋuti yi la makpɔ ɖa be fi ka to ge Yesu gbɔ hã ne Mawu ve nunya ti aɖe le mɔto la mayi ɖa da tia dzi eye manɔ afi ma anɔ mɔ kpɔm ne Yesu va ɖo ko ɖe manɔ eƒe ŋkume kpɔm eye hã nanɔ nye ŋkume kpɔm ale nya yi ke le si ko la agblẽ nam. Eya ta egatɔ ya amegã ya bubume ya eda afɔ dume ʋlayi yi ɖe amewo katã ŋu tom nu ka dim wòle hã Yesu be akpɔ gake Yesu le amehawo dome ɖe ke nu katã matɔ le ŋuti o ɖoɖo dzi zɔm wòle. Aro ya amewo kpɔ ge be aʋadze mele gake wo ŋutɔ nya be ɖoɖo dzi ye. Ye wòƒu du kakaka wòva kpɔ ati kɔkɔ aɖea eli atia tame elabe nye be ame kpoe ŋɔ ne amehawo va do goe le afi ma ye gakɔ yeƒe kpoe nyenye kɔ ge ɖe wo me koa ye bu ɖe ameawo dome eli atia dzi eye wònɔ atia tame ele teƒe yi ke tututu mɔnukpɔkpɔ li be Yesu gbɔ tutu ge eye le esime Yesu ɖo atia te wòafɔ ŋkume dzi kɔ Zakio nye ma le afi ma le mɔ kpɔm be Yesu nava dze yi gbɔ ale Yesu be papa Zakio ɖi va elabe xɔxɔ va ƒe megbe egbe la gbɔ wodze ge ma la kema amehawo do dziku. Amehawo dome nɔnɔa mekpɔ nu dze ŋgɔgbe o. Amehawo dome nɔnɔa ɖe nanawo dzena ŋuti skin disease kpatsafule kple dɔlélewo enana be ŋu fia enɔna anyi elabe amewo kɔ vevesese ŋu babia kpakple dɔmevevie ame yi tutu ɖo le afi ame yi tutu ɖo le afi ame yi be eɖo afɔ ye dzi enana ge be fokɔsi ma nɔ asi o meganɔ amehawo dome koe vɔ. Wole dzum fiafie ame balae medze be Yesu na yi gbɔ Yesu mele wo gbɔ kpɔ o eye Zakio hã mele wo gbɔ kpɔ o ke Zakio ɖi ye wòƒu du kplɔ Yesu ɖoa ye wògblɔ na eɖokui be mɔnukpɔkpɔ eva zɔ be yeagblɔ nyateƒe na Yesu ale woɖo aƒea me ye wògblɔ na Yesu be papa Yesu manya wa fiafi ŋutɔntɔtɔ menye lo adzoglasu menye lo eʋɔgbala menye lo mewɔ nu vɔ geɖe alebe egbea la medzi be maʋu eme be ame yiwo katã me fie la matrɔ atsɔ woƒe nuwo na wo eye ga ye le asinye mamɛ ne hiãtɔwo ne mexɔ nane le ame le se akpasesia matrɔe ɖo teƒe ne zie gbɔ zi ene ale Yesu do wuli be egbe la xɔxɔ eva aƒewo me kpɔɖa naneke medzɔna dzro lo ne le nu nyuie dim gake mewɔ ɖoɖo le ŋuwo la makpɔ o. ele ngɔgbe yi dim gake me ɖoɖo le ŋu la makpɔ eya ta nu yi fiam le wo fifia enye nye ŋutɔntɔtɔ nyagbe ƒe mɔzɔti ye mekpɔ be bibla ɖo kpe dzi be nenema le be mazɔ nye ma magade gesi na wale gbã didina nɔ si wo le nu yi ke ne dzi bi anye kple nu yi ke ne dzi bi awɔ ŋuti evevelia natso nyame be ye nye ge kokoko ye wɔ ge kokoko etɔtɔlia ne tso nyame voa ne na bɔbɔ ɖokui o afɔɖeɖe ɖe sia ɖe ke ohia be na ɖe hafi na va kpɔ nu ma ne na ɖe ne bɔbɔ ɖokui voa na ta alo na wɔ ɖoɖo yiwo dzi zɔ gene la na le ŋku le nu yiwo nye gbɔdzɔgbɔdzɔ le ŋu o kple nu yiwo nye ŋusẽ le ŋu o ale be le wo gbɔdzɔgbɔdzɔ teƒea na dzina ne akɔ ɖɔ le wo gbɔdzɔgbɔdzɔe eye nu yiwo nye mɔxenuwo la na dzia le ke na wɔ aɖu wo dzi eya ta na ƒu dutɔ me ha ŋuti meganye mele wo me ko mele wo dome ko nu yi ke wɔ mɔ le ko nya hã ma wɔ awo ne to ŋu ɖe ne na da ɖokui le teƒe yi ke ne kpɔ be mɔnukpɔkpɔ anɔ anyi be nu yi ke dzi me la ava me ale be na amewo le nume ɖe le ŋu o amewo le dzɔm amewo le nya ɖe gblɔ megaɖo ŋu na wo o megatsi dzi o enu yi nye o ta ɖo dzi nu ɖe yi gbɔ alabe ekplɔ bɔ le ɖoa geme vɔ ale be ne eƒoe da gie me la na amewo be isego la ke wo futɔwoa ɖoɖoea ezi le wo nu eya ta me dzi be ma de dziƒo na ame aɖe be mɔkpɔkpɔ li nua ganyo nenye be dzidzi kpakple nyametsotso ɖokui bɔbɔ kpakple ɖoɖo wɔwɔ be nata ƒu du ato amehawo ŋuti ada ɖokui le teƒe yi ke wo mɔkpɔkpɔ aɖo tae ekema mawoa atrɔ wo hawo woazu ha yeye eʋu nu vɔ me eye wòwɔ ɖe Yesu ƒe gbe dzi kaba heɖi va eya ta xɔxɔ ge ɖe eƒe aƒe me míawo hã to heya wɔwɔ ma mawo ƒe yayra ava mía dzi amen.